Hey everyone, this is Karen Waksman, founder of Retail MBA. Today we're going to be talking about selling to Raleys. If you have a great product perfect for Raleys, this training will give you some things to think about in regards to selling to them. With that said, let's get started on today's training.
So Raley's is a grocery chain that is very big on family-oriented purpose and community and connection. They are very serious about letting everybody know that they are a specialized company that focuses on real vendor relations, connections, commitment to their clients more than a lot of other retailers. With that said, selling to Raley's can be a challenge in that the grocery chain industry really relies heavily on distribution channels like working with distributors. Why? Because a lot of grocery chains really works with distributors who are interested in organizing the product and shipping it to stores quickly, right? When you are dealing with a grocery chain, they have a lot of food on their store shelves. They have all sorts of perishable goods. They really need to have a streamlined solution to get their products in, taken care of, and so forth. So with the grocery chain, a lot of times they will be focused on working with distributors. We also want you to make note that you can go to Raley's directly and sell to them directly. That is something that we've taught a lot of people how to do, but they might actually refer you over to their distributor if it makes most sense for your product. So number one is you might have to deal with the distributor. There are workarounds to what to do if they insist on that and you haven't actually started with a distributor. We actually teach strategies on how to do that in our Retail MBA training system. The links to that is listed below. It's a complicated discussion on how to do that, but just note that you might run into distributorships, and if you have to work with a distributor, they typically take 20 to 30% of your bottom line because they are actually running the show. They're actually getting the products from you and then placing it on the store shelves. And so they expect a return on investment for that. So it does get a little bit more dicey with the distributors because they do take a piece of your income. And we have plenty of videos on working with distributors throughout our channel. So definitely take a look at that. But just be aware that distributors might occur if you have certain products, and definitely in the grocery chain business. The second thing I want to mention is that Raley's is also owns Bel Air and Nob Hill Foods, which means that if you are trying to sell to Raley's, there is a chance that they share the same software system as Nob Hill Foods and Bel Air, which is another chain. The reason I mention this is because you could conceivably try to go after Raley's following our time-tested proven systems if you want, or just do what you do, and also reach out and see if they're interested in your product. If they're not interested in your product, you might want to consider going after Bel Air or Nob Hill Foods, which are different names of different grocery chains. And the reason you want to do that is usually if they're all owned by the same company, that generally means that they all share the same software system, which means that your vendor number that you get from any of these different brand names might actually allow you to sell to the other retailers the same way. So how it works with chain stores that own multiple brands is that they all share the same vendor contact information. And one of the reasons buyers don't buy from you at a retailer a lot of times is because there's a lot of paperwork for a new vendor. And so sometimes they just don't want to add you because they're not sure your product will sell, or for whatever reason, they just don't want to do all the extra work to put you on as a vendor. They don't believe in your product, whatever it is. But if you say went to Raley's, they said no to you, you went to Nob Hill and they decided to buy from you, you fill out the forms as a vendor, and then suddenly you're in the vendor system. So you could go back to Raley's and say, hey, I'm already Nob Hill vendor and I'm already in your system. And there is a chance that they might consider you because that means they don't have to fill out paperwork. Generally, these conglomerates usually share the same vendor system, which means that you could conceivably use your vendor number that they give you when you become a vendor. Every vendor becomes a vendor with a vendor number, and you could use that for the other possible chains. So the bottom line is you could just go after Raley's. They say no to you, go to Nob Hill Foods, for instance, get a yes, come back to Raley's and say, I am now in your system. Let me become a vendor. And a lot of times the buyer finds that very interesting because, again, she doesn't have to do a lot of extra work to test out your product, and they really like to test new products. And so that's a great little nugget. The final things I'll say about Raley's is you definitely want to make sure that if you are near a Raley's, go to their stores and go up to their store manager and say, do you guys buy on a local level as well? The reason you want to do that is because a lot of grocery chains have the ability to buy on a local level because they deal with a lot of perishable foods. Perishable foods need to be worked quick, so you definitely want to make sure that you find out, can that store manager buy some stuff locally? The reason you want to find out is if they do, that means you could sell to a Raley's, but just for one store, not all of their stores, which is a very big deal. So the bottom line is you could conceivably sell your product to Raley's without having to sell to all of them, which could give you some relief because starting with one store and building it out is great for some of you who really just get a little overwhelmed by the possibility of selling to a lot of chains at the same time. So maybe you can start small, sell to one individual store, see how it goes, and then build from there. And the cool part is a lot of grocery chains do buy on a local level, which is a very, very big deal for you because you can get in your car and start opening up a lot of accounts. This is Karen Waksman, founder of Retail MBA. I gave you some gold today. If you want to learn how to approach, pitch, and sell to retailers, please take a look at the links below. RetailMBA.com is our website. We have powerful content that has made people many millions of dollars selling to retailers for over a decade now, and we'd love to support you too. We have services, live events, matchmaking services with retailers. We do everything related to helping you generate revenue with a consumer product. Hope this helps. Please watch our additional videos as we are constantly adding new content. Thanks so much.